What's dangerous is when the universe pick you and you put on the magic glasses. There's rules that go with them. You can never take them off. You never see things as they're supposed to be. You see things as they are. And you can never force nobody else to wear them.
I think while I lie awake and contemplate tonight are wearing me out. Well, maybe tomorrow the world will wake and get it right, but I have my doubts, yeah. During the day, well, I design machines of war that scream through the sky. 'Cause I, for one, I like to go to bed free at night under these stars and stripes. And I have my doubts that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts, and I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. Yes, I have my doubts, but they'll wind you up and pull the cord until you're spun right out. And I don't understand. Roll the dice and raise the price to feed the machine's mouth. Call it the progress of man. And I have my doubts that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts. And I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. I have my doubts, so I'll drink my stuff and raise some hell and shoot my guns to the end of my time. You can have the booze and go to hell and take the guns, but I know they won't be mine. Messed up and out of touch, let's text someone who's in the other room. So don't wonder why we don't say hi or know anyone. I might as well move to the moon. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. Well, the things I think while I lie awake and contemplate at night are wearing me out.
Good evening. And the second night in a row, I forgot to set my tablet up. My excuse today is I am frickin' whooped. I am tired. I am certainly ready for bed today. I'm stuckaged. Anyway, hope everyone is doing well. We had one heck of a line of storms that moved through, and when I say that, I don't necessarily mean they were super bad, but they lasted forever, and in fact, they're just now starting to wind down. Fortunately, we didn't have anything too serious right here. I do believe north of us there was some tornado damage, and currently right now, to our southeast, there's a pretty good line of tornado warning boxes, and it's been, I'll tell you what, the meteorologists, they earned their pay today. No doubt about that. But they were on it. I watch Channel 4, which is KMOV. Now I think they're called First Alert 4. But they do a bang-up job. They usually always do. And wow, it's kind of crazy. Our particular radar that we normally use is actually down right now, undergoing some maintenance. And so I guess what they're basically using is a culmination of other radars to be able to cover our particular area. So sucks to have nasty storms moving through when your main radar is down, but they did a good job. They did a great job today. Trying to think. I did get a little bit of the storm as it moved through earlier. I was going to upload it, and I never did get that done. But I did make a short video. Here, let me turn the audio back up, because I do talk a little bit. And I'll show you that now. And then we'll move on from there. You can actually see the cold front that's moving more southward, and then you can see the warm front that's moving more eastward. I wanted to make sure to catch this. See the two different directions? The lower clouds are heading more south. The higher clouds are heading more east. That's the storm fronts, or the weather front, whatever, the air fronts converging. The storms are lighting up like crazy all around. See those clouds up in there? Pretty crazy stuff. But I thought I would show that to you because it was so distinct of the two different air masses, the cold air mass and the warm air mass, going two different directions. So there's still a bunch of storms on the way, even though that you see it cleared up that way. That's not going to be for long, because we got plenty more where that came from. Anyway, figured I would show you. Not often you can get a shot of the air masses that distinctly, so I wanted to show you. Shalom. Oops, I just wanted to get that, and because you could see it really well. In the beginning of the video, I didn't have the camera down far enough, but then I did put it down far enough. I was using the screen on the pocket too, and that thing is so tiny. But anyway, aside from that, I spent a fair amount of time today working on the website I'm doing for the town. Didn't get a whole lot extra added except for couple of things. I've been working on the calendar part is what I've been working on, and I'm really fine-tuning it. So the big thing that I accomplished today was that I got the time showing up the way that I want it to. One thing I cannot stand, like let's click on the city council meeting here. Now, this city council meeting was held on the 4th, March 4th. And one thing that I cannot stand is in the date, if the day is before the month. I cannot stand that. So I had to figure out how to get that swapped around because it uses the PHP time codes, and I've never messed with that before. And it also had the 24-hour time, and I don't, a lot of people don't like that. I don't have a problem with it. Military time, essentially, I don't have a problem with it. I know how to add and subtract 12. Well, essentially add, or, well, yeah, I guess subtract, depending on which way you're trying to figure it out. But I don't have a problem figuring out military time, but a lot of people do. And in my opinion, it makes a lot bigger hassle when you're not dealing with something military, right? So I figured out how to change the date setup and the time setup and got that done. And then the other thing that I did was I started to go through, and let me go back to, say, last month, for example. And so they have, I don't know if these show up or not. Let me see if they show up. Yeah, they do. Okay. I did it both ways just in case people have problems. So, and because of the different names. These are the different things that came out from the council meeting, the city council meeting. This here would just be the agenda. And again, this is a module that pops up. And this is just the agenda, just, text agenda. This is what they call the packet, which is essentially the agenda with attachments on it. So that's what the packet is. Don't need to let it load. And then the minutes. Of course, the minutes, that would be the actual record from the meeting. And so I'm only starting to do this from the beginning of the year. So I'm only going to go back to, January, obviously, 2024. So January 2nd was the first council meeting. Then the 16th. And all these have the agenda, the packet, and the minutes linked under them. And then it's March now. I've got April put in. And that's it for the meetings. I have to get May's and then on through the rest of 2024. So, not a big deal. But I spent quite a bit of time figuring out how to get that time and date switched right. And then I actually, when it came to doing this part of it, this one doesn't have anything. Hang on. So when doing this part of it, putting in the files, it automatically put under the file uploaded by, and then it tagged me. And I didn't want that because that's not necessary, right? I don't care if people know. I mean, I'm the one doing the site. I could care less. But to me, it was unneeded information. And I can't stand unneeded information. So it took me probably hour and a half, honestly, to find out where it was that I actually needed to edit that code. But I've learned a lot today. From now on, and I've been doing websites for a long time, but I started out hand coding websites, just standard HTML, literally writing the code out. That's how I started out 30 years ago. And websites have came a long way. Now, the websites I build, they use what they call CSS, and so it's quite a bit different than, much more advanced than just HTML. But I'm figuring out pretty quick how to use, if you right click, if you're on Chrome, if you right click, you can click inspect. And over here, it pops up all kinds of goodies. And for instance, what it will tell you if you come over far enough, if you highlight the section you need, like say right here, right? Right over here, oops, I didn't mean to click that. Right over here, it's going to tell me where that is at. Let me click, make sure that's clicked again. Okay, so DP attachments, layout, attachments. That gives me kind of a map where to look in the back end for this actual script. And then in the back end, they have something called overrides that you can use. And you can actually make edits back there. The good thing about doing it in the overrides is, let's say that this is DP Calendar, that the extension DP Calendar. Let's say they update DP Calendar and I install the update. It will not change anything that I have put in the override. So in other words, I won't have to keep redoing what I've already done. And it's just something nice. And I've known about that since I've been using Joomla. But it takes some getting used to. It definitely takes some getting used to. But that puts me light years ahead when it comes to building websites. Just what I figured out today as far as being able to identify, identify where it is that I need to make these edits. That's like huge. So now that I got that done, tomorrow I'll be spending time getting the place ready. Jen's dad's coming this weekend to visit, and so gonna freshen the place up tomorrow. Then I'll probably get some more stuff added onto this. But Saturday is Shabbat, and plus her dad will be here Saturday. I am not gonna touch this site on Saturday. I'm gonna do my best to honor Shabbat, and I haven't touched my headset in like a week, so I'll probably be spending some time getting my face blown off. So anyway, let's see, trying to think if there is anything else. I don't know, but when it comes to the reason why I mention what I'm doing so much, it's because it's easy to come on YouTube or go anywhere else for that matter and complain about the problems. In fact, I started to make a video earlier today and I didn't have a chance to get it done because I got busy on the site. But there's a lot of people that will complain about the problems, but they won't actually put an effort out to do anything to fix it. Look, this isn't what I love to do. Picking fights with the city is not something I live to do. On the contrary, I'd rather not. But somebody's got to stand up. Somebody's got to do something. And we live in a society where most people will sit back and wait for somebody to save the day. I am not that guy. I can't do that. Not when our town is going down the toilet bowl because of corruption and tyranny. I am not going to sit back and be silent. I am not going to just wait for somebody else to save the day. I know how the internet works. I know how people on the internet work. And I know how to get the people on the internet to work, if that makes any sense. I have been building websites for 30 years. If there's one thing, and this is going to make people happy, but if there's one thing that I've learned about people on the internet, is that they are incredibly lazy. Even expecting people to click an extra link is like pulling teeth. And if you don't believe that, then host something online. Anything. A website, a YouTube channel, anything. You can only expect 10% engagement off the top. And when I say 10% engagement, I don't mean that will make the effort of clicking that link. You've got maybe about 10% of that 10% that will click that link. Just a small fraction. I had a gaming website, and I put up a plane that we had just gotten done modifying, and I put up a plane, and Everybody knew that it was coming out. There's a bunch of people waiting for me to post it. And I showed the vice president of Sim Gaming at the time. I showed him. I said, watch this. And all I did was make it to where they had to click one extra button. That's all they had to do. They didn't have to do anything else. Just click one extra button to get that new aircraft. Wouldn't do it. Most people would not do it. So you have to have that basic understanding of people. And in other words, if you want people to get engaged, you have to literally spell everything out for them, and you literally have to almost take them by the hand and click it with their mouse. I mean it literally. I mean, it's that bad. So that's why I'm doing this. Because I know how people work, I know how the internet works, and I know how people on the internet works. Or don't work. And so I know that if I can get everything put in one spot, all laid out, easy to understand, easy to navigate, then we've got a fighting chance. Anything aside from that, all you're going to get is whatever the town's been getting. And that's just the way it goes. I don't want that, because it's how we got here. You know, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad when we actually have members of the law enforcement that are making statements about what happened. And that's exactly what happened. Yesterday, a member of our local law enforcement voiced their opinion. It makes me feel a little bit better, not that I seek anybody's approval, acceptance, or that I need anybody to tell me to do what's right, nor do I need anybody to support me for doing what's right. However, knowing that they are thinking in the same direction as what I am, I like that. I don't want to be a thorn in their side. I have no need to be a thorn in their side. As long as they're not being a thorn in my side, I got no need to be a thorn in theirs. I have never done anything so worthwhile in my life as what I'm doing now. I have never had anything that had a better purpose. And I'm talking about earthly things, of course, than what I'm doing right now. And that's why I talk about it. That's why I try to encourage other people. That if you've got tyranny, if you've got issues where you're at, you can do something about it. You got to find out whether you're, and there's a lot I got to find out. Don't think I know what I'm talking about, because I don't. But first off, you have to find out if your town is managed or unmanaged. Managed means that you have a city board that essentially makes the decisions. Unmanaged means that the mayor calls the shots. So we have a managed town. That means that we've got a city board, and they put things to vote, and they vote on them, including the appointed positions in town. Like city manager, for example, whatever, the Parks and Recreation, director, if that's what I think that's the position, the name of the position. So those positions are decided upon by the town board. And so in order for us to make change here, we have to make sure that the town board votes in the direction that the people want. And I'm assuming that's where the problem is. Because if it were anything otherwise, the appointed positions that are causing all these problems would have been replaced. But they're not. And it's been bad decision after bad decision after bad decision. It's time people pack their bags. The ironic and personally humorous part about this all is the person, the first person on the list that needs to pack their bags is actually the individual who was at one time in law enforcement themselves that tried to run me out of town. So on a personal note, that's frickin' hilarious. But it is what it is. Now, the Father keeps telling me the tables are going to turn. And he's been telling me that for years. I mean, years he's been telling me the tables are going to turn. Tables are going to turn. And when he first started telling me that, and we're talking over 2-3 decades ago, he'd been telling me that for a long time. First, I didn't know who the hell it was. I just thought it was my crazy mind. But up until the last 10 years, I really didn't listen a whole lot. Now that I've got my faith 100% in and behind the Father, I'm like, okay. I figure I'll see it when I see it. And more throughout life and throughout every part of my life, I am seeing it happen. It is what it is. I'm just me. But I know I can't stand to watch this city get flushed down the toilet because somehow some tyrannical piece of crap is benefiting from it. And it's not just one. There's multiple. We're going to have to put a list of names and positions together. But I want to do that together with the town. I've got 2 names, 2 positions in front of me. One of them has been, I believe, in their position for a very, very long time. Not the person that I previously mentioned. So again, that's going to come down to laying everything out so that people can really see and get a feel as to what's going on so they can make informed decisions about who they do or do not want to run their town. Otherwise, you know how that goes. How many years has Feinstein and Pelosi and all of those been in office? Why? Because people recognize the name. And they've been there forever. Same thing. No difference. People recognize the name. They're well liked in the town, whether they're doing a good job or not. And they keep getting that position over and over and over. It's time to fix that. Time to let everybody know, especially the younger generations, because let me be very clear. That's who you really have to go after. It's time to let the folks know what these people are really about. So that again, come time for those board seats to go up for vote, they know who they need to vote into the board seats to make the changes that they want to see. That's why I'm on it. It's why I talk about it. I will probably continue to talk about it. This isn't a thing, though, like the prepared homestead or anything where I'm like, I need you to help me pay for my firehouse. No, it ain't anything like that. If anything, I hope folks can learn and may be able to help their towns out. Now, this is much a learn as you go kind of thing for me. Same as doing websites, and that never ends. It's been learn as I go ever since I started 30-something years ago. Never changes, but that is much of life. And I'm good with that. I like that. I need that challenge. Because without it, if I didn't have anything to challenge me on the daily, I don't even want to think about that. Anyway, I've got some news for you. I've got 5 articles up. I did have some other articles up, and then I closed them because I realized how old they were. I mean, they were like over a month old, and I'm like, oh crap. Where did I get them? From Windows. From Windows' stupid little box on the bottom right where the weather's at normally. I clicked on the stupid thing, and it had a bunch of different things, and one of them was talking about UFO hotspots, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. I tweeted them out. And then another one talked about how it was an article about the best places in the United States for, if there was a nuclear war. And I'm like, oh. And I didn't realize until shortly before the show that those were really old articles, and I don't like going over really old articles, so. And my neck's killing me. Let me have a sip of coffee. Yum yum. UN report finds Israel deliberately targeted journalists, says Reuters. Now, I'm not surprised by this. This is something that's common these days. It's happening in Israel. It's actually happening right here in the United States of America, and has been for a while. There's protests. Watch the live streams. It's pretty damn clear that those live streamers get targeted. Pretty clear. Anyway, it says an Israeli tank fired 2 shells at a group of international journalists clearly marked as such in violation of international law. A UN investigation is reportedly found. Now, this isn't the first I've heard this report. I actually covered this when it was very first reported. The deadly incident happened in Lebanon in mid-October. The conclusions, published by Reuters on Wednesday, are part of a 7-page report dated February 27, obtained by the news agency. They coincided with what it had found on its own while looking into the death of its employee Issam Abdallah and the injuries of 6 other journalists, including those working for Agence France Presse and Al Jazeera. I thought it was AI. Sorry, Al Jazeera. The report was produced by the United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon, the peacekeeper mission deployed on the border between Israel and Lebanon in 2006 as part of a deal that ended the Israeli occupation of the southern part of its neighbor. Tracking and investigating presumed violations of the truce is part of its job. The attack happened on October 13 in the early days of Israel's siege of Gaza. I can't say nothing. Israel's siege of Gaza in retaliation for large-scale incursion by Palestinian militant group Hamas. Tensions ramped up at the Lebanese border as well, with sporadic attacks launched by Israel Defense Forces and Hezbollah militants. Abdallah, a Reuters photographer, was part of a group of journalists covering the situation from a hill in Lebanon. An IDF Merkava tank fired 2 shots at them. The UNIFIL report confirmed. It called the attack a violation of the truce it is mandated to uphold and of international law. It is assessed that there was no exchange of fire across the blue line at the time of the incident, the report noted. Referring to the de facto border, the reason for the strikes on the journalists is not known. Oh, well, because they were journalists. An IDF spokesperson told Reuters that Israeli forces do not target civilians on purpose, including journalists, when asked about the UN investigation. He added that the incident is being examined by the General Staff's fact-finding and assessment mechanism a body responsible for reviewing exceptional events. And like any other government agency that investigates themselves, they're not going to find anything wrong. Reuters released its findings in early December based on eyewitness accounts, forensic analysis of evidence found at the scene, and interviews with officials. The UNIFIL report was sent to the UN on February 28 and shared with the Israeli and Lebanese governments, Reuters said, citing a source. The mission's investigations are normally not made public. So, more of the same old, and it's really sad. These people are targeted because they want to tell you the truth. And that's why it is so important that we stand behind them, that we stand up for them, that we raise hell whenever it happens. That's your free speech. That's your free speech. If everybody's afraid to speak freely because of the consequences, nobody's going to speak freely. If I knew damn well that I was going to wind up inside of a tiny box or a duffel bag in 500 pieces, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, yo. Now, I ain't stupid. I know that I can become a target from what I'm doing, but I ain't worried that much. For one, I'm not anybody that's even known. But even if I were, I mean, the Clintons aren't in office, so I'm somewhat safe. Israel wants to relocate Palestinians to humanitarian islands. Man, I've said it from day one. Many of the displaced civilians crowded into Gaza's southern tip will be directed into safe zones in the center of the Palestinian enclave before a major ground offensive begins to eliminate the territory's last Hamas stronghold the Israeli military has claimed. In other words, they're going to move them all in one spot and then bomb the hell out of that spot. Just watch. They will. And then they'll use the claim that, oh, well, there was Hamas, there was this, there was that. They built new underground. They'll have all kinds of reasons of why. And it won't start when they all get in the spot they were told to go. They'll actually be attacked as they're going to that spot. That's what happened when they were going to the southern part of Gaza. The entire time as they were trying to evacuate to the very areas that Israel told them to go, they were under attack the entire way, the entire time. It's crazy. We need to make sure that 1.4 million people, 1.4 million people, as if there's anywhere near that alive, or at least a significant amount of the 1.4 million people will move, Israel Defense Forces spokesman Daniel Hagari said on Wednesday in a press briefing, where to the humanitarian islands that we will create with the international community. These places of refuge will provide temporary shelter, food, and water to displaced civilians, Hagari said. Civilians had previously fled to Rafah, Gaza's southernmost city, after Israeli bombardments leveled their neighborhoods in other parts of the enclave. The administration of U.S. President Joe Biden, West Jerusalem's most powerful ally, has insisted that Israeli forces should provide a credible plan for protecting civilians before launching their controversial Rafah offensive. The Israel-Hamas war has left more than 31,000 people dead in Gaza, according to the local health authorities. Upward of 85% of Gaza's 2.3 million residents have been displaced by Israeli bombardments, and the UN has estimated that 570,000 people in the besieged Palestinian territory are starving. Hagari did not specify when evacuations will begin or how much time they will be given before ground forces start pounding Rafah. He said the timing will be coordinated with the neighboring Egypt, which has demanded that Gaza refugees not be driven into its territory. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has insisted that the Rafah campaign will go forward despite international fears that it will cause a humanitarian catastrophe because Israel's survival cannot be ensured without total victory against Hamas. The Prime Minister said last month that Israel has already destroyed 18 of the 24 Hamas battalions in Gaza, and the 4 of the surviving units were concentrated in Rafah. To win this war, we must destroy the remaining Hamas battalions in Rafah, Netanyahu said in a video address on Tuesday. If not, Hamas will regroup, rearm, and reconquer Gaza. And then we're back to square one, and that's an intolerable threat we cannot accept. Listen, you cannot kill an idea. You can't do it. And when you kill and maim so many people, especially innocent people, you're definitely not going to prevent people from having the idea of resistance. This is nothing but a game. And the United States isn't, innocent of playing the same types of games. We just don't do it quite up this front, or up, in everybody's face quite like this. I don't know, man. It's there are a lot of countries that are wise to what's going on, and they're not good with it. And the same is true for what's going on with Ukraine and Russia. A lot of countries are catching on, and they're no longer good with all that's going on. I have a feeling that things are going to get, at least in the short term, pretty ugly in both instances. I don't think necessarily it's going to have much impact, at least as in a threat kind of impact to us here. I do think that we're still going to continue to see goods and products, skyrocket in price. I don't think we're done seeing that anytime soon. It's just, like I say, like I've always said, the answer for us stays the same. Use whatever time, whatever resources you can just to keep getting ready. It's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. Got a few more articles up. NATO chief warns allies against historic mistake. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg has warned members of the bloc against committing a historic mistake by allowing Russia and its President Vladimir Putin to secure victory in the Ukraine conflict. Speaking at a conference in Brussels on Thursday, Stoltenberg insisted that Ukraine has proven that it's capable of defeating Russia on the battlefield and has survived thus far thanks to unprecedented support of NATO countries. Now, however, Kiev is running out of ammunition, the NATO chief warned, and called on bloc members to mobilize their reserves and show the political will to provide Ukraine with everything that it needs to continue the fight. All allies need to dig deep and deliver quickly, Stoltenberg insisted, adding that every day of delay has real consequences on the battlefield for Ukraine. This is a critical moment, and it would be a grave historic mistake to allow Putin to prevail, he said, adding that such an outcome would be dangerous for us all. Stoltenberg went on to note that despite Russia's attempts to slam NATO's door shut, the bloc instead continued to grow, adding Finland and Sweden to its ranks, while Ukraine is closer to NATO than ever before. Moscow has repeatedly cited NATO's continued expansion towards its border and the possibility of Ukraine becoming a member, which it has called an instrument for confrontation aimed at Russia, as among the main reasons for launching its military operation in February 2022. Putin said last month that the conflict is an existential one for Moscow and a matter of life and death, while for the West it is simply a matter of improving its tactical positions. The head of Russia's General Staff, Valery Gerasimov, I can't say his name, also stressed last year that Washington's actions against Russia and its attempts to save the Western-centric world order have effectively made Europe less safe and as a whole and turned it into an arena for confrontation with Russia. And I would agree with that. That's exactly what's happened. So, coffee. So while our derp-in-chief is eating ice cream, Putin is flying tactical bombers, and Kim Jong-un is driving brand new battle tanks. So, but don't worry, don't worry. Biden's had the latest Ben and Jerry's, I'm sure. This is crazy. Kim Jong-un drives tank in mock battle, says state media. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un joined his troops in a training exercise involving, this last article though, it's a doozy. Involving a newly developed battle tank on Wednesday, Korean Central News Agency has reported. The military showcase, described as a training match, was designed to test the combat capabilities of tank crews and make them familiar with combat action on different tactical missions. The exercises involved a new type of main battle tank that Kim called the world's most powerful, KCNA said. The North Korean leader, along with Defense Minister Kang Sun-nam and other senior officials, observed as tank units maneuvered through simulated combat conditions. During the training exercise, the tanks demonstrated precision and fired rounds at targets. Swiftly weaving their way through the worst combat circumstances, heavy tanks hit targets at once with powerful strikes and broke through strong defense lines with high maneuverability, the report claimed. Kim expressed great satisfaction that the battle tank had successfully demonstrated its striking power in its first performance and called for bigger efforts to prepare for war, according to KCNA. During the drills, Kim mounted one of the tanks and was reported to have driven it himself, adding to the high militant spirit of the tankmen of our army, KCNA said. In a photograph published by KCNA, the North Korean leader could be seen with his head peeking out of a tank. The exercise included units stationed close to the border within striking distance of the enemy's capital, KCNA said, referring to Seoul. The training drills coincided with annual military drills involving the U.S. and South Korea off the Korean peninsula, which are due to end on Thursday. Kim has called these joint exercises a rehearsal for an invasion of North Korea and a provocation of war. And it goes on to about all the other exercises, but I'm ready for bed, like you wouldn't believe ready for bed. But this article here is actually pretty important. This was another one that was in the stupid little Windows thingy, but it was actually an up-to-date article. Why the Y chromosome is vanishing and what this means for the future. Why it's vanishing. I'm sure it's not having any help vanishing or anything, I'm sure. Well, what's it say in the subheadline? Oh, a new sex gene could be on the evolution pipeline. And I'm completely sure that they don't have anything to do with that. I mean, the biological sex of a human being is determined by which chromosomes make up the baby's genetic material. Females usually have 2 X chromosomes. No, females do have 2 X chromosomes, while males tend to have one X and one Y. No, males do have one X and one Y. Get over yourself. But research suggests that the Y chromosome has been rapidly degenerating over the course of our evolution. In fact, the gene may one day disappear altogether. No, let me say that a little more correctly. The Y chromosome has been rapidly degenerating over the course of your generation. Fixed. Why is the Y chromosome disappearing? The Y chromosome has seen significant changes over the course of human evolution within the past 166 million years, or maybe the past 16 years. The human Y lost most of its 1,600 odd genes at a rate of nearly 10 per million years, the conversation said. The X chromosome contains approximately 900 genes with multiple functions, whereas the Y has approximately 55 genes, with only 27 of them being male-specific. In addition, many are present in multiple copies, most of them inactive, lying in giant loops of DNA. Most of the Y is made up of repetitive junk DNA with such an unstable composition. The Y chromosome is at risk of completely disappearing over the course of multiple generations. The early proto-Y chromosome was originally the same size as the X chromosome and contained all the same genes, the conversation said. However, because males only have one copy of the chromosome, it does not have the opportunity to go through genetic recombination, which is the shuffling of genes that occurs in each generation, which helps to eliminate damaging gene mutations. Without recombination, Y chromosomal genes degenerate over time. The Y chromosome has degenerated rapidly, leaving females with two perfectly normal X chromosomes, but males with an X and a shriveled Y. Don't you love this? Look, if you think this is happenstance, I have got another thing for you. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. The sad thing is, all of that will probably completely go under the radar. And that's scary. The only good news is, not going to be too much longer and the Father's going to make it all right again. That works. Let's see. Headlines. Poland to replace ambassadors in over 50 countries. Putin issues election call to Russians. Kiev-backed terrorist cell tried to poison soldiers, says FSB. Russian Navy wraps up joint drills with China and Iran. Let's see. TikTok CEO calls on users to fight U.S. ban. Moscow explains why expanded BRICS will keep name. Ukraine bombs Russian nuclear power plant periphery. Civilian car hit by Ukrainian missile. Russians warned of attempts to disrupt presidential election. Kiev launches cross-border attack into Kursk region, says governor. U.S. moles using Guantanamo to host Haiti migrants. says CNN. EU members oppose plan to arm Kiev with Russian money, says Politico. Musk cancels X-partnership deal with former CNN star Don Lemon. Beijing slams proposed U.S. TikTok ban as bandit logic. Medvedev responds to Zelensky's peace plan. Kremlin slams U.S. distortion of Putin's words on use of nuclear weapons. Majority disagree with Macron's comments on sending NATO troops to Ukraine, says a poll. Ukrainian attempt to break into Russia thwarted. U.S. has created Frankenstein states, says British MP. Moscow estimates number of foreign mercenaries killed in Ukraine. West poses no threat to Russia, says UK defense chief. UK flight chaos made worse by remote working, says report. NATO-supplied missiles were used to attack Russia's Black Sea fleet, says Stoltenberg. EU lawmakers to sue European Commission over funds for Hungary. EU criticizes Pope's call for Ukraine to make peace. Voting begins in Russian presidential election. Trump will lose, says Macron. And UN responds to Ukrainian attack near Russian nuclear plant. That is it. And I am ready to boogie. I want to get to bed. I am like whooped. Anyway, I am out of here. God willing, I'll be back on Sunday night. And I hope to see you then. As always, God bless you all. We love you all. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.